You're not even in the Wait, scooch this way.
Oh my goodness.
Turn it this.
So hey guys, Chelsea wasn't in the
I
frame.
wasn't, but now I am. Welcome back to the first HerTake of the quarter. Yay!
We're why?
You're
Loki
on.
need to go. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're joined by say your names.
I'm Sonny Noble.
Hi, I'm Eli Cronenberg.
Ooh, amazing. And we
Two
have
first-time guests
two
for our
first-time
tenure.
guests. I think our first full only male guests ever.
Really?
Like, I don't think we've had an
Wow.
all male show apart
That's
from us.
actually crazy.
Breaking the gender.
Apart-
Yeah,
yeah.
so and we have a
We got a
chat rundown.
50-50 split.
We're
But
history is what it
Yeah,
is.
wow.
Eli, look at us.
Look at us.
you guys are carrying, and we're gonna mention this in the meeting. We're gonna see.
Yes.
See like you guys.
Big applaud.
Yeah.
Maybe a party. Someone will bring cupcakes.
Bonus, maybe.
That would be.
See, I don't have money.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
Take it up, boss.
How was your guys' break? We're back for winter quarter. How did it go?
Lot of good food. A lot of good food. Put on a
At
couple
home? Yeah.
LBSs. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, it was a very restful break. Did not do very much of anything, but we're rested, we're recovered, and ready to talk women's sports.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's good to know that even though going into junior year, I can still be a bum, and it's like it's okay. Anyway.
Bum. Okay. Wow. Okay. Breaking history is like a peace sign here, and we're just going
Well, I'm
right
talking about
against
doing
stride.
nothing over break, and that's
True.
still like you know, there's not like
Understood.
stress. I feel like going into upperclassmen years, it's just like
Like you don't have to feel bad about yourself that you have nothing going on.
oh, okay. So I hear it's just getting worse and
I
worse. So
think
we're just
it
gonna
would keep
Move on.
declining.
yeah.
I'll let that slide.
Into you want
I-
to start
I
off?
appreciate
Yeah, I can start it off. We can. So this was a highly requested topic because tennis, as you know, Chelsea and I aren't very versed in the fact, as we mentioned, like every time we talk about tennis. But we're gonna start with talking about the battle of the sexes that just happened a little bit ago, where number one, Sablanka,
Sabalenka.
thank you, and Kyrgios.
Yep.
There you go. Keep going.
Curious.
Okay.
You're good. You got it.
Oh, you do it. No. They played in a tennis match and it was labeled Battle of the Sexes. This was the fourth one in the history of the sport. A lot of people are very upset about the outcome of this match and just kind of how they went about it and creating it. Chelsea, if you want to pick it up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the big kind of controversy about it was the comments that was made before by Curios, basically just saying that women cannot return our serves. Do you really think I need to give 100%? I think I'm going to be okay. I'd say maybe 6-2 for me. So we were kind of talking about it before we came on air. But I just want to hear your guys' thoughts just about the actual inner workings of this, what this would do and did do for women's sports. Just kind of general thoughts about like comments and then the actual having of this battle of the sexes each and every year.
Yeah. So the inspiration for this match, at least from their perspective, is obviously the famous 1973 Battle of the Sexes match between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs. It's been immortalized in a movie recently, and it's a very famous match because Billie Jean King won. There was a lot on the line for the future of women's professional tennis. Bobby Riggs was a washed-up 55-year-old man who still thought he could beat the number one player in the world. She beat him at the Houston Astrodome, one of the most attended tennis matches ever, the most watched on television tennis matches ever. There's a lot that was different about this go around. First of all, as I mentioned, Riggs was well off the tour, 20 years post being professional. Kyrgios has been injured the last couple of years, but is still on the tour. So still is a ATP professional player. But the main difference, I would say, is the way that King and Sabalenka respectively approach the build up to these matches because they're both facing this opponent in Riggs and in Kyrgios who are talking a big game. Riggs was more explicit in referring to himself as a male chauvinist pig, but Kyrgios is at least expressing similar sentiments. Like men are superior, whatever. Sabalenka is kind of just going along with this. Billie Jean King really is like pushing back against this. She's standing up for women's tennis. She's one of the original 9 players who founded the WTA and made it possible for women to make a living playing professional tennis. At this point, Sabalenka is essentially just like agreeing with Kyrgios, being like, yeah, like he's probably gonna win, but half-heartedly, oh, we'll see. Like I'll put up a fight. And then they do this bizarre interview together on Piers Morgan, which is already like
What is Piers Morgan?
G-
Is
That's a
this
whole
like a
nother can of worms.
podcast? Or...
so he's this a real provocateur British journalist who has his
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, can I tell you where I know him from?
Yeah.
My
You know
one
him?
my One Direction like fan.
What?
I knew that name. Piers Morgan did a lot of coverage on One Direction.
Okay.
Anyway.
He's a firebrand in different directions. He had, Fuentes on his show a couple weeks ago. He's
Okay.
had a lot of different people. Where it's,
Yeah, he really.
Why are
he-
you giving him a platform? Like,
right.
it's
Yeah.
a lot of that.
His whole shtick is like bringing together really radical people, so then they can say like really crazy things, and then
Yeah.
he like pits them against each other, and then he sort of looks like the reasonable one, but really he's just
kind of
like
like a jubilee
sparking all the
thing.
kind of like
Okay,
that.
sick.
Anyway, so they go on, and then it ends up sort of devolving into this conversation about transgender women in women's sports, where Sabalenka is asked about this, and she's saying like, yeah, I don't think transgender women should be allowed to play in women's sports, which is of course like a very complex issue, and one that deserves time on its own merits. But the idea that this is sort of the pretext for this match is essentially Sabalenka saying, yeah, like of course, men are biologically superior, men are better at tennis, women's sports need to be protected, which is just on the face of it a very different message than the one that Billie Jean King offered over 50
Right.
years ago. Yeah, like regardless of what you think of that issue, Sabalenka isn't carrying the torch, for women's sports, being like we can do it too. She's sort of just like being a lamb to the slaughter. And then the rules of course are changed for this match too. So Sabalenka's court is smaller. Aesthetically, it looks absolutely bizarre on the television. Like it really doesn't look like a real tennis match. It looks like Kyrgios is barely trying. He wins 6-3, 6-3, which it is not surprising at all. Like it is, an established fact that, a male professional tennis player will beat a female professional tennis player. Serena Williams, in the prime of her career, has said as much, that she would lose pretty easily to, the ATP world number 700. That is how it is. But the fact that Sabalenka agreed to this match, sort of not under the pretext of, anything about defending women's sports, and agreed to this sort of absurd court regulations where she is already at an inherent advantage, really has no way to win this situation, because even if she had won the match, it would have been like, well, she had an inherent advantage in this match. Yeah, I just thought it was pretty disappointing from her to accept this premise. Luckily, the show itself was so sort of boring that I don't think it will do that much for the future of women's sports. But yeah, not my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, that's upsetting. Is it usually like they have the different regulations on each side of the court, or is that something new
is this-
they did
yeah,
for
yeah.
this?
They don't really. I mean, I don't think they did it for the past one, but this is battle. Okay, so the three that have happened, the Billie Jean King was the second in the series that
Okay.
that he played in. That Riggs played in. So this is either number 4 or 5 that have like more or less ever happened. Like you'll see like mixed doubles, but you won't see like
One-on-one,
because-
yeah.
Again, because it's uneven. So
Well, yeah, and I heard a lot too, when like just researching and stuff about just how like the strategies of women's tennis and men's tennis is just frankly different, and how like women's tennis I heard is like more competitive within its own like group. And so I feel like in general too, like you can't really put them against each other and definitively say yeah men are better, because it's like in a sense an entirely different game within the sport of tennis.
well, I think a large part of that, from what I've seen, is the kind of the discussion of the serve, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, I forget the exact number, but it's at least 20 miles an hour on average. Men just serve harder because they're bigger, stronger,
Right.
faster. So I mean, there's a lot less, and I mean, I'll bring this word up again, but a lot less panache on the side of the men, where it's just slam the ball over. Let's start with that. Just slam the ball over the net to begin with. I was reading the Billie Jean King like play-by-play like stat breakdowns, and I mean, she was, as we talked about, she was 29. Bobby Riggs was 55, and I mean, as you said, Serena Williams in her prime said that she would lose to the number 700, and this was, I think Kyrgios was 671. Is that what it was?
652.
652. I saw, yeah, different numbers. Maybe that's 671 is where he's at.
But also,
Yeah, it might be right
should
now.
say-
The
yeah.
article before when it like just
Yeah.
happened, he was 652.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the thing. Like, if they are two different games, I don't know if that's as important of one because it's
Mhm.
it's the game of tennis overall. Like
Mm.
I don't think there's that much big of a difference in the way that like it's completely different. Like the hoops are at 8 feet. Like it's not
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, never in my life have I seen a tennis match where the sides of the court are different sizes. Like
Yeah.
that's not something
No.
that's ever
Yeah.
happened before. It looks bad.
No.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. Like if they were gonna go out there and just be like, this is a fun exhibition. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious will clearly win, but like it'll be fun for the fans to come out and see. Then that's one thing. But I think by attaching the stakes that Curios has attached to this going in, and then sort of setting it up for this to be the outcome, I think Sabalenka kind of got played. Yeah.
What I really feel is, especially because they have the different sizes stadiums, and I don't know if this is looking into it that much, but it really just feels like novelty, especially because it was played in Dubai. There's been a lot of questions about kind of dubious practices, especially around women in sports and women in society as a whole. And you kind of think maybe this was an exhibition on one side for Sabalenka and Kyrgios for more or less a money grab, and for the people in Dubai who are watching it, like maybe something to put down women. As we say, one of the other points of discussion you brought up was, what does this mean for the future of women in tennis? Well, again, Billie Jean King, 73. Like, think what was going on in that era, right? You had just come out, you're less than 10 years out from the civil rights movement. You still got a lot of questions of women's roles, kind of in the workplace, especially. You're going into the 70s. You're moving away from. I mean, wow, we're really getting to history here, but you're moving away from the.
I'm sorry.
What?
Uh,
A painting just
Did you see
fell
that?
on Calvin.
sorry, guys.
Okay. He's okay. Keep
He's
going.
good. Okay, we're good.
I think he's okay. Sorry, there
Keep
is
going.
a room. There is a room to our right.
Okay, wait. Keep
I was like,
going.
what did I say? What did I say about women, Chelsea? What did I say?
Sonny, what are you saying?
Civil rights law.
And Chelsea got so annoyed that she
So
dropped the
sorry.
painting on Calvin just to get away from it.
He's,
But no.
okay, he's okay.
I mean, yeah. So like coming out, you're coming out of the women as the homemaker in the 50s and sexual revolution in the 60s into the 70s, and now women having their own place of dominance.
Yeah.
Not to say that the world is perfect, but in the Big 2-6, as we now call it, the Big 2-6.
Yes.
Yeah. This happened in the medium-sized 2-5 right at the end. But in the Big 2-6, that's not exactly in the forefront of our minds. So I don't think this could have done anything good for the community, because as I was talking about with Chelsea as well, this was not on our radar. The reviews that I saw was that it was flat, like it was kind of a boring match.
Yeah.
I don't think this does anything good, and I actually don't think it does anything bad, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It almost feels a bit like
Just
it's a
really.
It was a
man
novelty
talking
money grab.
all this stuff about
Yeah.
a woman, and then
Yeah.
but kind of going back to what you were saying, it kind of feels a little bit almost like a bit of a humiliation ritual.
Yeah.
Imagine you're watching like this tennis match on the screen, Battle of the Sexes. You're like a 15-year-old girl who's in love with tennis. You want to watch this game. You're sitting here looking at this uneven court, whatever, and then a loss, and it's just you hear all this other stuff about what this guy was saying before the match.
Yeah.
And now it's being reinforced, and it's just it just becomes so much more inflated of, oh, like I don't even want to beat a dead horse, but it's just obviously like it's not something that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And like you said too, Eli, before, like even if she would have won, I feel like too it would have been the same thing of like, oh,
People
it
would
was
have pointed to see
unfair.
why.
She had a smaller court. Like you were saying like before too, there was like really no. It was a lose-lose situation no matter what. Like it would have been great if she won, but then also again, like they would have just been like, oh, smaller court, she cheated or something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the best thing I can say for the future of women's tennis is that we have a Grand Slam around the corner. This match was played on December 28th, which is, right at the end of the tennis off seasons. No one's really locked in. Really some high stakes tennis coming up in 2 weeks in Melbourne. So exciting times ahead.
Yeah. I think that the one last thing I wanted to add was I used the word panache, and what I was going back to that was, I know Kyrgios did talk a lot of talk, not on the same level as Bobby Riggs, but the base of what he was saying, which is basically like, I'm going to win every point, though he could have said it with a little bit, a little bit more tact.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a way
for
to
sure.
approach
Yeah,
problems like this, and it's not that.
It's not being that. I mean, if you're going on Piers Morgan, you're not going to just say some obvious truth. You're going to say the
Because
alternate.
if everyone like does realize that like it is a different, like men have that more, like with quicker serving, like things like that. He could say something like in a completely different way, like you were
Yes.
saying, of like, yeah, I think like men have a higher advantage with the serving, but I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like,
Mhm.
I'm excited for this match. Like, there was
Yeah.
so many different ways you
Mhm.
could tell that it was just kind of like a bigoted
Yeah.
approach from the
Yeah.
start. And it's really like frustrating too that I think he was chosen too, because like I did see that before he also kind of advocates for non-equal pay in tennis
Which is
between
not
men's and women's,
surprising.
which yeah isn't surprising based on like the comments that we said he made before, but it's just like kind of frustrating that like he was chosen as the player, which I am curious as to why he was chosen. I'm not sure if it was said why.
Is
This
Kyrgios
wasn't
like
so this wasn't set up by any outside organizers. This
Okay.
was
okay?
his initiative. So basically, he was like, "I want
Oh,
to do a battle of the sexes match," and
Oh.
that almost makes it
he
worse.
No,
got
no,
the
no.
yeah, like so, and he got the world number one player to agree to this.
Why is the
Yeah.
world number one
Right.
agreeing to that?
Yeah.
Like,
So it's I mean, questionable on her
That's
part.
what makes it
Obviously,
like seem like a cash grab too.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
like
what you were
I
saying.
hate to like interview you, but like what was like the timeline? Was it she accepted it and then he said all these comments and then the actual match happened, or was it he said all these comments and now it's like, okay, who's gonna challenge me?
it
And she
was.
was like, okay, I'll do it.
I mean, he's said a lot of things over his 10-year plus career. I mean, he's a notorious provocateur. He says a lot of crazy things. So he's definitely been talking about women's tennis in a largely negative light for a while.
Mhm.
But the most recent comments were after Sabalenka accepted the invitation. It was, a few months before the match. He basically just comes out and says, we've agreed to play this match together. And then obviously in the lead up, they're trying to promote it. So he's saying a lot of these things about how he's obviously going to win, which he was ultimately correct about. But it felt like sort of they were trying to sort of like do a rehashing of the 1973 match and like sort of play similar characters. But Sabalenka just didn't really step up to the plate with her role.
Yeah.
I feel like he filled that role without having to like try
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It was just kind of natural to him.
Yeah, but moving on to happier horizons, looking to the future, kind of doing a bit of a WTA preview. So as we're talking about on the women's side, we have Iga, or I'm gonna call her Iga because I'm not gonna attempt that last name. And then Sablenka at the
Wait,
top of
can I pronounce?
what?
Wait.
Go ahead, give it a shot.
Shoot, I'm scared. I'm scared.
It actually isn't what it looks like.
Swat.
Isn't it? Isn't it Shov? It's
Swiatek.
it's Siobhan Tech.
That was
Siobhan Tech.
close. It's Swiatek.
Siobhan.
Guys, I need to retire.
Schwantek, okay,
Yeah.
are kind of at the height and the top of the WTA, with
TL.
Coco Gauff solidifying her place among the elite as this younger player continuing to push the boundaries and just push what people expect out of her. So just kind of looking forward to some of these major tournaments that are coming up. Just what are kind of our expectations? Who are we keeping an eye out for? What are we just kind of hoping going into this new era of the WTA?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess starting off with the Australian Open, which is in a couple weeks, probably the biggest storyline is that Iga Swiatek is going for the career Grand Slam. So she has won Roland Garros, she's won Wimbledon, she's won the U.S. Open. She has not yet won the Australian Open, and so she's looking to complete the career Grand Slam. Carlos Alcaraz on the men's side is also looking to do the same. So there's sort of a dual narrative there. But Swiatek coming into the season at the United Cup is not playing particularly well. She just lost in the finals of the United Cup to Belinda Bencic, who's a very good player, just outside the top 10. She also lost pretty handily to Coco Gauff. Um, but I would not make her the favorite for the Australian Open at this point. I think Sabalenka, who made 3 of the 4 major finals last year, is looking in good form. She won a 500 title to start her season. But beyond that, I mean, Coco Gauff is it's very reassuring to see her win that match against Swiatek because she had a real rough second half of the season after she won Roland Garros. Really struggling with the serve, hitting as many as 15, 20 double faults in some matches, which was a pretty ugly sight. But when she's on, we know that she can be one of the best players in the world. So with that win, I think she's really putting herself in the conversation. And then I think the name that everyone's especially curious about heading into the season is Amanda Anisimova, who made the finals of both Wimbledon and the US Open, sort of not out of nowhere. She had been building up and been having a good season, but really just put her tennis together in a way that she had not so far in her career. Really an astonishing power game, especially off the backhand wing. And if she can continue that form, she's going to be a threat in every major this season.
Anything to add?
I mean, I think he's got it all.
I
think he's got it all.
He said he
He
wanted to
did.
yap about it, and he did.
And I think that's what you were talking about as well. But not to zombie horse this, as my sister says, but as you said, there's like a little bit more of a division within like where the power dynamics lie. Like within men's tennis, like you'd be hard pressed to find a season in which there's more than like 3 or 4 people that are like at the top alone, right? Like if they were to lose, like what in the world's going on? And then you see, was it Coco Gauff lost to somebody outside of the top 10, or was it Swiatek? Because you can get people outside of the top 10.
Losses.
Exactly. Yeah. You can have people in the top 1 or 2 losing people out of the top 10 just because of how women's tennis sits right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that actually makes for more exciting tennis, or at least
for sure.
A little bit more. Perhaps not if what's it, where you have like Cinderella stories, but it's not always that. Okay, the number 1 and 2 seeds are the ones that are going to show up in the finals.
Yeah, the pattern that we've been seeing for at least like last year was basically for like the first 14 days of every major, the women's side would sort of be the more entertaining side. And then, Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz come out and play the final, and it's like the best match of the tournament again. Kind of steal the show. But, up until that point, especially the early rounds, there can be a lot of chaos in these women's majors. And but even that said, like I think you look at someone like Sabalenka, who makes the first 2 finals makes the finals of the first 2 majors last year. Probably should win her semifinal against Anisimova at Wimbledon, then wins the U.S. Open. So there's a chance that she ends up making it all 4 major finals, winning a bunch of them. So she has been establishing herself as a pretty dominant player.
Yeah. All right. I think that covers that.
Yeah. What sucks is we only have 4 minutes left, and I don't know if we can get to either of the
Wait, the thing is, I'm trying to remember when we started, because we went over.
Yeah, they did say we could go a little over.
Yeah. Do we want to hit basketball real quick?
I feel like we should.
I
feel
win.
like
yes, we ended the 10-game losing streak.
Yeah.
That
Which,
deserves
by
a
the way,
moment.
first time since 2008 that we've had double-digit losses in a row, which is very disappointing, especially with Joe McEwen.
Wait, I was gonna say something about
not
that.
fun.
Yeah. In the meeting when who was it? It was either like Adam or Eli who was talking about Eli? Is that
Ethan.
Ethan or Eli? It was either Adam or Ethan that was talking about how like in all the games like McEwen's getting like take homes.
I was talking about that too because I covered the Oregon game and like they gave him a pair of shoes. He's going on like a victory tour where they're just like, here you go.
I feel like because it's like his last season, you would think they'd be like, okay, like let's win this from McEwen. Yeah. It almost seems like it's like taking attention away. Like I feel like they're so like it's like McEwen's leaving that we keep.
If anything, it's more of like we're glad McEwen's leaving. I think he's too old, which is honestly kind of sad because like he is like a great coach. He coached them for years. He was a great basketball player when he did play too. His daughter was a good basketball player for Northwestern and then went on to be an announcer. And like I don't know, it's just kind of we have Grace Sullivan, which I think is great. It's just like unfortunate that it's only her. Like I remember in the Oregon game, she was out for an entire quarter and she still scored like at least what was it, like 8 points more than the next person. Yeah. And it's just like frustrating when you have that one player that's very good, but then no one else can really like pull their weight in a sense. And I feel like they just don't work well as a team. I feel like they do have those great shooters. Like I know Zamaya Walton, who was in our piece. I think she, especially this year, has really broke out and she's doing great, especially hitting those threes. And like she's great on her own. And I feel like I don't know, like everyone is great on their own, but then like when they come together as a team, I feel like it's more of a like me mentality instead of a team mentality.
I've been to a bunch of the games, and what I found is like I don't know what's going on because the stats really do not tell the full story, right? Yeah. And the one that like you really highlight is okay, you have Grace Sullivan, who's number 2 in the Big Ten for women's basketball in points per game. But that's not the only thing that Northwestern is near the top of. Taylor Thomas is she's only a sophomore, but she's number 2 in rebounds on average, averaging 8.5. And there's only one other person on Indiana that's averaging more with 8.6. But you look at that and it's like, okay, well, or do they have anything else that's good? Yeah, assists. Caroline Lau is actually at the top with 9.3 average. So she doesn't get, she plays 3 minutes a game as well. Like, what's going on here? And there's something to say about Northwestern has stat leaders, but they don't really have, for whatever reason, like well-rounded players, right? Like you can have one player with a lot of assists and one player with a lot of rebounds and one player scoring a lot, but that's not going to get you to like 80 points a game,
Yeah.
And that's what I found is the real issue.
Yeah, you could have all 3 of those on one possession, and it's only one basket.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Um,
They're working well together, but you can't just have the one person finishing it every time.
yeah. I guess since this is my first opportunity to discuss women's basketball and her take this season, I'll come out and just say that I don't think Joe McEwen should be in charge this season. As as great of a coach as he has been throughout the history of his time here, obviously, arguably the best coach in program history. There's no doubt about that. But if you look at the last 3 seasons, the team's gone 8-46 in Big Ten play, and the crucial thing is like we have to find a way. The Northwestern has to find a way to get out of this somehow. And that starts with recruiting. And you're basically wasting a year of having Joe McEwen as the figurehead of this team to recruit, but all the recruits don't know who the next head coach is going to be.
Right.
And if we had a chance to come in and replace McEwen with a proven head coach over the summer, then you get to start on that right away. But right now, we're just seeing is a glorified retirement tour for Joe McEwen, when this could have been the start of a rebuild. Instead, it's just kind of a lost transitional season.
Yeah,
So.
that's a really good point. I feel like from the games that I've called and then from like what I've kind of done for like in sports, I feel like what you're saying is also really, really true. What you're saying is also really, really true. I also feel like for some reason, like obviously like, we lost a lot of our like main people. We lost like Kayla Jackson. We lost who else? We
Mel
lost
Daly.
like we just lost a lot of our forefront runners. But I also feel like a lot of the new people, the Taylor Thomases, the Zamiah Waltons, they almost like need another season to kind of like cook up. Like I feel like Taylor Thomas will have these moments where she's just like rebound score, rebound
Yeah.
score, rebound score, and then she'll turn off. And it's just
That happened in the Oregon game.
Yes.
She was like for I
It'll
think
be
like
great
8
runs.
straight possessions. She was the only one that scored just like back and forth,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden she fouled out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what happened?
And also the same thing with Zamiah Walton, where she'll hit a 3, go back, rebound. She'll like shoot a layup, and then there's nothing. And it's like I feel like the thing that Grace Sullivan has that keeps her so in the forefront of all of our minds is just that she's always there. Like she's always in the thick of it. And I also feel like that kind of goes back to what you were saying about this kind of being a lost transitional period. We could be using this time to build up the next generation of players. They're going to be juniors. It's not really next generation. But the next kind of forefront runners.
Well, even like getting the recruits to then know like how to build around them.
Because those are going to be the people that are going to lead the team.
Yeah. And like, and I'd be okay with like a losing record still not doing well if we had those recruits coming in and like knowing who the head coach was.
Yeah.
Because then you know that like, I mean, hopefully we're going to improve the next year. So even if it's bleak now, we have something to look forward to. And I feel like right now we don't have something to look forward to.
Yeah. This season is probably going to keep people away.
Yeah.
Something interesting when you're looking at just pure stats, something that I noticed, especially when I was at the games, is Northwestern doesn't shoot nearly as many threes, nor do they make them. They're currently dead last in threes made percentage wise. Yeah, and they're bottom 3 and just making shots, period. And they're 42%. I mean,
and I don't think Sullivan ever takes a shot at a 3. Like I feel like she never like she always gets it from 2s, which is impressive with how she's scoring like 30 points a game, and leading or second with points scored per game. But like it is very strange.
It's hard to identify also like a central problem that I could be like, okay, this is a coaching issue. Because at some point, like you go to the games, it's like, okay, they have open shots, they're just missing them.
Yeah.
Like I can't offer an advice like you guys need to be running this more. Like what can I tell you that'll make you hit shots?
Yeah.
You know? Like that's at some point that just comes down to talent.
Yeah, and it feels like the defense is even more of the issue than the offense is. Like there were some pretty solid games in terms of offensive output. They played Iowa close, they played Ohio State close at home, but in those West Coast games against Washington and Oregon, The defense just broke down a lot, and sort of similar with the men's team. I think defense is like a more difficult thing to evaluate. Where if you're letting up 90 points, like it often isn't one thing that's going wrong. But yeah, I think overall you look at the defensive effort and see that you can't really compete if you're giving up over 80 points a game, especially in a 40-minute game. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just about does it because we are a little bit over, which is okay because we started a little late. But I think this was a really productive first episode.
Yes, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing everything you had to share. It's great
Especially
to have
about tennis.
Yes, it's great to have guests that like not only know but love
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes you get not to trash talk anyone in the club. Let me
Oh!
not. Anyway.
A lot of that today. I don't know if I'm going to be coming back.
No, please.
But yes, thank you guys so much. Thank you for everyone on YouTube.
As always.
Yes. Oh yes, wave to the people.
Wave to the people.
thank you for having us.
Hopefully, hey, shout out to if I met a woman in Portland on my way back, and she said that she was subscribing to the channel and wanted to watch. If you're watching this, shout out. I never got your name, but yeah,
Portland airport
lady. Well, I just met her in the airport. She
Okay.
was on the flight as well.
Amazing.
Shout out if you're watching this because you're awesome. Shout out to anyone else watching, and Chelsea and I will be back next week with maybe the same people, maybe different. You never know. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
You guys.